Hi there, my name is Bryn. I'm one of the makers of One Button Bosses. I usually take care of the design, and today I'm gonna be walking you through making a level in One Button Bosses. So I have a fresh scene open here inside of Unity. We're making the game in Unity, and I will show you the tools that we're using to make a boss fight. But before we start making a boss fight, we usually need like some sort of a concept. No, lucky for you, you don't need to see the process of me coming up with a concept for a boss fight, because that usually takes a bit of time. And I prepared like some ideas of what we're going into. But before we're gonna set up a context, set up the concept for the boss fight, we need the context, right? Like where is this fight going to appear, right? This usually means like, is it like late game or early game, right? So let's do early or late game, right? It's one of the possibilities. And another possibility that is important to consider, is this going to be in the roguelike game mode or in the campaign? Campaign, right? So first of all, based on the first thing, like early in the game or late in the game, we are going to decide how difficult this fight is going to be, right? Obviously, players that are closer to the late game have a better understanding of how to play the game. They are more familiar with the intricacies. And when it comes to whether we're in the campaign or in the roguelike game mode, well, in the campaign, we have a static set of abilities that you have as a player. Whereas in the roguelike game mode, you power up your character over time. So if I draw like a axis of sorts on both of these things, right? Let's see here, right? Early. Let's just do it fast. Okay. So the boss that we're making is for the roguelike game mode. It's one of the bosses that you can face at the end of a floor. So this is pretty easy to say. And if we say like this is the start of the roguelike game mode, this is the end of the roguelike game mode, floor 5. What we're making right now is a floor 3 boss, right? So in the roguelike game mode, you're facing randomly generated bosses, but then every so often you face a handcrafted boss. And this is one of those handcrafted bosses. And we're like dead in the middle of the roguelike game mode. And this is considered like on a scale of the whole game, somewhere towards like the second third of the game. So I'm expecting the player to be relatively good and familiar with things, like with the mechanics at this point. Maybe not completely min-maxing everything, but I'm expecting them to understand like the relationship between speed and attacking. I'm expecting them to understand at this point that they can sacrifice HP to deal more damage, and that they have like a good intuition of how to play with most of the enemy attacks, right? And because we're like in the dead middle of the roguelike game mode, I can also expect the player to have acquired some power-ups for the player spaceship. So we're not just talking about baseline abilities anymore. So this gives me a bit of an idea for where the player is going to be in terms of the player power, right? The player power and the player skill. And that's an important context to have before we even dive into the concept. Because the more player power the player has, the more we're going to be willing the more we're going to be willing to throw hard combinations at them, right? You have player power, you can overcome them with player power in itself. You have skill, you can overcome them with player skill. So the concept for this fight is going to be that since we're on the 3rd floor, I want to do something magical with the number 3. And I want to tackle the 3 shapes that often appear in the game, right? So I want the player to tackle triangles, squares, and circles, right? So these are the three things that I'm gonna be working with. And what we will be doing is that we will have the player switching between these 3 arenas, right? So we're gonna make a fight that is based around like one's being like in a square arena, one's being in a circle arena, one's being in a triangular arena. And based on which of these arenas you're in, you're going to be facing off against different attacks. So we're gonna like make very clear chapters, right? Again, we're in like sort of like the second third of the game. We expect the player to be able to like react well to things, but I still want to signpost very clearly at this point to the player when something new is coming, right? So when we change the arena from a square to a circle, the player is going to know something different is about to happen. Triangle, something different is about to happen, right? So we want hard fights, but we want them to be orderly at this point. How does this look like in game, right? Let me show you some of the tools that we have available. So in the right side here, this is like everything that appears in the game. If you are not familiar with game development, these are called game objects. And on game objects, we can define certain things. For example, we have the enemy game object here, which is constructed out of many smaller game objects like the sprite and the animation and so on, right? But if I go and just select the enemy, on the right hand side here, I have a bunch of settings, right? So enemy HP, I already set it to 2000 because that's the HP we want the enemy to be at. And then I have this thing here called phase HP values. This is essentially when I tell the boss, oh, you are going to be using starting a new phase now, and I want this to happen at 1500 HP and at 1000 HP, right? So if I just do like 2000 times 0.6, no, 0.5, yes, so I want to get to 0.75, that's it. I want to get to 1.5k HP, right? So that's gonna be 75%, because we're writing the number here in percentage. And then the next one is going to be at 50%, right? So this is gonna indicate, oh, I'm changing a phase at 75 HP and I'm changing the phase at 50 HP, right? Now, the next set is to actually tell the boss what are these phases going to be, and to define what sort of an arena we're fighting on, right? So we have this element here called boss path generator, and this is where we define what we are fighting against, right? You can see this is the camera size. This is the screen that the player is able to see, and if I'm changing the size, if I'm changing the rotation here, right? If I'm changing the amount of points, you can see how the arena is changing, right? And I want to start off the fight with a square. I'm gonna set this to size 10, for example. And I'm gonna set this is to 4, okay? And let's go with like a bit of an imperfect rotation. We found that like it's nice sometimes to have like things that are a little bit jaggy, right? Maybe like this. It give you a bit of like it breaks up the geometricness a lot of times in the gameplay. And that's it. And now we have like the starting thing ready. And I'm gonna go into the loader. This is the attack loader. And here inside of the attack loader, we're going to be defining what the player will be facing. And in reality, you can see that here it says JSON files. JSON files are just like glorified text files. And I have prepared some files for this. Level rift 3, square start, level rift 3 triangle, and level rift 3 circle, right? So this means that the fight is going to start with this file, square start, and we can see it here. This is the file, and I'm just gonna empty it out. Boop. And then at 75%, so at 1.5k HP, it's going to go into level 3 triangle, right? And then in level in 1k HP, at 1k HP is going to go into level 3 rift circle, right? So this is kind of the order that we're working with. Square start, triangle, circle. And here you can see we have let's zoom in. Here you can see that we have this moves thing, and essentially anything that I write into here is what is the next attack that is going to happen. Now, we need to send the game some details. What are these attacks going to be? So we kind of have like a template file. And if I go into one very simple attack, for example, for start, let me go and start things off with geometric drop off, because that's the attack that we're going to be using at the start. Geometric drop off is an attack where you get a telegraph on your spaceship, and after a few seconds, you're going to need to drop that telegraph off. And then it becomes dangerous. So you can see here that we have a bunch of parameters. We have something like size, right? Like I can change this to 160. It means it's going to be big. There's blink time. How long is this going to be blinking for? Let's set that to 0.5 seconds. How many blinks does it need to drop? It needs to do 3 blinks. And then time to activate, because this is a bit of a bigger size, let's set it to 2, right? So let me just quickly, and then tick, this is important. This is in every single attack. This is when the attack appears. So what we're saying now is make the geometric drop-off attack appear at level at the first second in the game, right? So that's kind of how the technology behind levels works in one-button bosses. If I load into the game now, you're gonna see we're gonna define this. So we have an error. Okay, let's fix this error. Game manager start next move. Sometimes stuff like this happens. Oh yeah. Okay, so like I need to. Game manager, I forgot to change something here. That's gonna make it possible for me to change stuff around. There we go. And now it should be working. Let's see it work. Yes, perfect. I'm loading in, I can see the arena. I can think, oh, do I like this arena or do I not, right? And this is the attack that we just defined, right? And what's a cool thing about this is I can go here and let's say that I think to myself, oh, this is too small. Let's change this to be 320 instead. Let's change the blink time to 1.5, and blinks to drop is still at 3, and then time to activate, let's set this to 4, boom, and now I will press R. I will not press R, I will have to go click restart. I reload the level, boom, and now I'm in, and I have this like bigger version of the attack that I just defined, right? And okay, this is cool. Now I have an attack in a way that I like it. Right? So what I'm going to show you now is we reached 1.5k HP, right? And we said in our concept, we kind of want to go from square to circle to triangle, right? Let's look into our template, because we actually have an attack here called change shape, which is like not really an attack, right? But you know, the point is there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into the triangle file and the circle file. And we're gonna define it so that we're gonna change the settings on it so that we actually end up getting into a triangle, and that we actually end up getting into a circle. So size, that's just like the size of the arena. Let's set this to 9, that's like a good number. Let's start with rotation, it's 0. Number of vertices, that's going to be 3. And tick, I'm gonna set this to just be 0.1. So it starts at the very beginning of phase 2. And then for phase 3, I want to be on a smaller arena, so let's set size to 6, and let's set number of vertices at 16, and tick as well 0.1, right? Let's restart the level, and we're just gonna quickly get to 1.5k HP, just to see if this is working and that we confirm, and then we're gonna start working on these 3 files and start like making things fun. All right, so this guy, we need to rotate this guy for, what is this, 45 degrees to the left or to the right, so that it's gonna like look more like an actual triangle, and I feel like I can make it be bigger, right? What happens is when you have like arenas with like a low amount of vertices, they end up becoming small because of mathematics, right? Because if I were to do a circle around here, I would always have a consistent size, but because this is a triangle, when I'm here, I'm super close to the boss, and that makes it hard to dodge some attacks. Okay, cool. So we have this part working, right? Let's see. Let's go out here, and let me just enable the toolkit that we have, level toolkit, which is just gonna make us be able to do like damage quickly on the fly. So, yeah. What we try doing is, a lot of times, when it comes to fights, we want, when it comes to attacks, we want to have values that are consistent, right? So I'm gonna do a geometric drop-off, like the big one that we had at the start, and then I want the player to deal with a few more geometric drop-offs, right? So let's say one, like we're gonna have one at the first second. It's gonna take 3 blinks to drop, and it's gonna be 0.6 second per blink. So at around three ticks into the game, I can start doing another geometric drop-off. Like I want the player to be dealing with another one. And you saw how big the drop-off was before. So I'm gonna make you deal with a big one and then with a few small ones at the same time, right? So we're gonna do geometric drop-off, and instead of it being a square, I'm gonna make it be a circle, because circles are easier to dodge. I'm gonna keep the blink time consistent so that the player can get used to this, right? However, since we are now working with a smaller one, I'm gonna have the time to activate be smaller, because it makes sense that like if something is bigger, it takes more time to activate, right? Like to be active. And then on the big one, the fade time is going to be, this is the amount of time it takes before it disappears, is going to be 5 seconds, and on this one, it's just going to be 2 seconds. So it's just something that like you quickly wanna drop off and then run away, and then it's not gonna stay on the screen for a long period of time like the first one is going to be, right? So let's go. Let's see this in action. So I get the big one, I'm shooting, and now I have the small one, and I need to drop off the small one. And I've dropped it in a pretty shit position here because I'm not really able to optimize damage, right? I can see maybe that like the big one is a tiny bit too big. So what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna like subtract some scale from it here. Like I'm gonna make it 10% smaller. These are just like some small settings that we have going around here, right? That like we can use to fine tune things. But we won't be doing a lot of fine tuning, we'll just be sketching things out, right? So I wanna make the start be rather simple here. I wanna signal to the player, you're gonna be dealing with geometric drop-offs in this phase. This is the thing that you're gonna be dealing with, right? And we can see that here at the start, like this is incredibly easy to deal with this geometric drop-offs, right? Like there's not much going on. So I'm thinking now maybe actually I change the order. Maybe I drop a small one first, right? Because right now it takes a while for me to activate the first one, the big one, right? 1, 2, 3. I have like 4 seconds of nothing going on at the start of the fight. And I think I can make this way more interesting by just changing these things around. So let's say this one spawns on the 4th second, and the small one, the first small one starts on the 1st second, right? So now, if I go in, I have a small one, activates fast. I have a big one, activates. No, it's like, yeah, no, actually they activate around the same time. I'm gonna set this to be at 2.5, yeah. And then I'll do one more geometric drop-off at the 8th second. So now we have like small, big, small, small. So small, and I have the big one coming in, and then I have small one coming in, small one coming in, right? But you can see I'm still like very easily able to play this off here. And we are now at like what? Like tick, like in the top left here, it's super small, but you can kind of see there's like a tick counter here that I have. It says like tick number 6 right now, tick number 9, right? And I'm thinking like, okay, around like 8-second mark, I need some more difficulty here, because if this is going to be like something in the middle of the game, we can't just be so generous towards the player. So let's look at some other attacks that we have here, right? There's a few attacks that we have that I like to call supplementary attacks. One of those is Quickline. Quickline is an attack that I think you saw it in one of the levels of the demo if you played the demo. And I'm just gonna put it here, and I'm gonna have it be activated at 7th second, right? And I'm just gonna go in with the default settings and see how it works. So the Quickline takes your position. Oh, this was bad. This was bad gameplay. So it takes your position, and then it it starts bouncing towards your position, right? So you need to avoid it. So I'm gonna put one at the 6-second mark. I think like the 7th second felt a bit weird because there were other things going on. And then I'm gonna put another one at the 9th second. And I'm gonna make them faster. I'm gonna say just bounce 3 times instead of 4 times. And I will like appropriately reduce the amount of times that they stay on here. A lot of the things that we have, we are inconsistent. So for example, here with the quick lines, the amount of time that they stay on, like we define the full amount of time. We don't define like the amount of time it takes for a quick line to load in, to travel like one of the paths, right? And you can already see this is like way more interesting now. I'm already like dodging these things. Let's see. Whoop. Whoop. Okay. Like I'm way more restricted in how I'm moving than I was before simply because of this, right? And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do like, so we have like this kind of start. We have like this chaotic start. I'm gonna do one more quick line at the 10th second. So this is kind of like a cooling off period, right? So it's like, I give you some action, you're avoiding the overlap, then we're cooling off a bit. Then it's just quick lines, right? And after quick lines, I'm gonna throw you another set of geometric drop-offs, but this time it's going to be different, right? So this time I'm gonna throw you smaller ones. They're gonna be 160. And I'm not gonna have them rotate, which is a very important aspect, because when you have squares that are not rotating, you can plan way better where you're going to be placing them, right? It is way more reactive when a square is not rotating, or is rotating, right? Because I need to pay attention to it. Whereas now, if I'm going to go into the 13th second, you're gonna be able to see I'm gonna place down that square, and then I will be able to like place it down in a safe location where I know it won't bother me, and then just ignore it, right? So I go in, boom, I place it down, that's it. I don't care about it anymore, right? So let's see, that's interesting. We do not have a way to set the rotation. I thought we have that. Okay, well, let's change this to a circle then, just so it's going to look nice, and we're gonna make it a tiny bit bigger, right? And what I want to do is essentially I want to have like a few different, like I want to have you, the player, place down a few different one of this. I want you to like define the battlefield for yourself for a short period of time, right? Define the battlefield, try to place them down in the most effective way possible, so that you still have as much of the battlefield available to yourself, right? Let's go. And now, okay, so these ones are going in way too fast. Like the quick lines are still available. So maybe I should change this to be 15th second and then 18th second, right? So I'm just like live updating some of these things. And here you can see I did a relatively decent job of placing these guys down, right? Like they did not take up that much of my arena space. And that's the sort of thing that I think geometric drop-off is cool at. And with this, I kind of have like the draft of the first phase, right? Obviously, I still need to work on this, because if the player goes on longer than the 18th second, right, then they're gonna see nothing. And we obviously don't want that. So our files are usually like twice the amount of time that we expect the players to play, just to make sure that the fight actually does come to an end. And now let's move into the triangle, right? Like we're getting into the triangle here. Okay, it looks like this like rotation that we did nothing. 22.5, maybe we need a 22.5. And I'm gonna cheat. I'm pressing like the cheating buttons to just like get into the phase faster. Okay, 20, I think 20 is going to look nice. And one thing you can see that's happening now when I'm cheating, and that can happen in an actual fight as well, is that there's still attacks going on, right? So, man, 15, is 15 correct? How do I get like to a normalized looking triangle? No, okay, it was 24. Let's say 24, and let's just stay on this, just so I'm not dilly-dallying with it too much. So we have another template attack. It's called clear attacks, and it does exactly what you would think it does. It clears out attacks. So let's set this to 0.1, clear attacks. And now, if I'm gonna be, let's get an attack on me. See, boop, this is cleared out. Well, this was not cleared out. That should be, we should fix that. But okay, So now we're getting to phase 2, right? What I'm gonna do in phase 2 is I will use this attack called Comet. Comet is nice, it's cool, I like comets. They allow us to define paths of a comet that a comet is traveling on, and you need to avoid it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, everything in this game is some sort of permutation of, it's a red thing on the screen that you need to avoid. But comets are cool because they telegraph things in a very nice way. So let me show you really fast a comet. I'm gonna set its starting position to 20y, so this is like somewhere here, and its ending position to -20, and the x stays at 0. This means that it's gonna be in the middle of the screen, speaking horizontally. We have this flag on comets called end of player that I'll talk about later. Let's set the size to 1, boop. All right, let's just restart this. Let's quickly get to the phase, boop, boop, boop. There we go. And now we're in a triangle, and you can see, boom, the comet is flying down, right? It's getting faster and faster as well, and it has like this very cool telegraphing on itself. So what I want to do now is I want to create chaos with the comets. And I want this chaos to look nice as well. So I'm gonna say, okay, go to -3. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, let me actually get into right for you guys, and let me show you what I'm trying to do. Right, so what I want to do here is I would like to create chaos for the player. I want a comet going down here. I want a comet going down here. I want a comet going down here. And I want to let these comets start appearing as you're going to be flying into the new arena. So you're flying into the triangle and you're already thinking, oh shit, there's stuff going on. I need to think about this and I need to react towards this. We do this rarely, but in this occasion, I think it's fine because it's short phases and because comets take a while to like load their animations. So as you're watching them load the animations and as you're loading in, you can like think about what you're doing. And then I want to do a few permutations of this, right? So maybe I'm gonna flip this on its head like afterwards. And after I flip it on its head, I'm gonna flip it again, but then this time I'm gonna be shooting a comet directly at you, the player, as well. So you have something more to dodge now, right? And maybe we'll throw in some extra attacks as well. Maybe we'll throw in some quick lines to dodge. We'll see what the difficulty feels like. But let's quickly write these things down. So I'm gonna do another one, right? And now we need one coming from the left side of the screen. So let's do from the top on the left, let's do -20. I'm eyeballing things here, which means there's a high chance that what I'm eyeballing here is going to be wrong. But we're just sketching things out. We're just doing a rough sketch here. So boop, boop. All right, let's see how this looks like. Let's go restart, and let's quickly do this. Boop. Okay, you can see it's kind of here, right? Like it's not, we need the right one to be more on the right. We need the left one to be a bit lower. So let's quickly sketch this out. So this one is the right one because it starts on x20, right? So if I set it to 25, I think that's going to be good. And the left one, I needed to start a tiny bit more to the left and a tiny bit more down. So let's set it to this and then do restart. And we're probably going to be fine with it as it is. No, okay, left one stays up on 15. Right one goes down to 14. Okay, and this is the last time I'm fixing it for now because again, it's a sketch. I like to get caught up in the details, which is not the best, right? So boom, not like this is cool. This is exciting. I have like something going on here, right? And I'm just gonna copy paste this, guys. Go down here and set this to 3. So I want the same thing happening on the third tick, like the comet spawning in. And I'm just gonna flip everything around, right? So I'm gonna say, okay, I start on -23, -3, and I'm gonna go towards 0, 20, right? So this is gonna make another comet go up like this, right? And I want, let's look at our reference. So let's flip it, right? So we want them go, yeah. And we want the left one to start on -14, So we just flip things around essentially, right? We just like add minuses where there were pluses, and we add pluses where there were minuses, I think. Not the best at math, so sometimes I just like do trial and error, and sometimes I like to not think while doing this. But let's go to this phase. Yeah, I'm cheating too much, so the HP bar breaks. Yeah, so now you can see like we have chaos here going on, right? Like, and I think this is cool. This is cool, right? And like this is kind of like a pattern that we can work with here, right? And a lot of times what makes sense is to do a pattern that repeats, and then it repeats faster and faster and faster, right? So you want the player over the period of the boss fight to become better at dodging a certain pattern, and then you layer things on top of this pattern, or make the pattern faster to increase the difficulty. So let's say I'm gonna have this pattern appear at first on 1 second and on 4 seconds. That's 3 seconds difference, right? And now I can just take the attacks here, and I'm gonna say, okay, it appears again on 7 seconds, right? And then I'm gonna take this now, and now I'm going to say that it doesn't appear on 11 seconds, which would be, no, on 10 seconds, which would be 3 seconds afterwards, but I'm gonna say, let's do it at 9 seconds, right? So I'm gonna select all of the ticks here, I'm gonna change them to 9. So I'm increasing the pace of this, right? Let's grab another one. Let's set it to 12 here. And in reality, like these comets are not dangerous already on 12 seconds, right? They're dangerous later because it takes a while for them to activate. But I have like a pattern now, and I'm working with this pattern. Let's just see how the pattern works on its own, and then start thinking about how we can layer things on top, right? So we get we get the first set of the pattern, we get the second set of the pattern. I failed to dodge something here. Boom, 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 right? Boom. This works nice, right? Like I need to be paying attention. Maybe here I create like spaces that are a bit too tight. Like I got hit twice there. But maybe that's fine. Maybe I'm okay with like with this. Maybe I can fix this by like offsetting the timings a little bit, right? Because like here this area looks safe, but then in reality it's not safe, right? So let's just do one thing that's gonna make this pattern better. We're gonna offset it. So this is in animation. We call this follow through. Let me show you what follow through is and how we're applying this to level design. So let's do 9, 4, 12, 4. Okay, let me draw arc. And then follow through animation Tumblr GIF. Let's hope I hope I can find the exact thing that I'm talking about. I think it's gonna be this. Yes. Or is it not going to be? Is it just this? Seriously? Okay, wait. Follow through and there we go. 12 principles of animation. Right? So follow through animation is like secondary things that happen, right? So you have the first thing happening here. You can see like the dog is moving its head, but you can look at the bow tie of the dog and you can see that like the bow tie is kind of lagging behind, right? Like the dog already moved to the right, but the bow tie is still on the left. And this like overemphasizes this overemphasizes the direction that the things are going in, right? And in level design, we can do this a lot of times. You see, like the head moves and the thing moves afterwards. And in level design, we can do this as well, right? So I restart the level. And if I go into this version now, you're gonna see the first one, second one, third one, right? And like now I created spacing because of the timing. Like there's more spacing there. There's more time for me to stay in that position, and I emphasize things better, right? I mean, honestly, like I could have gone more into follow through by creating bigger delays and having even more like of an emphasis on the follow through. But I think this is good enough, right? So let's duplicate this pattern a few more times just so we have it going into like, I don't know, like the 20th second, something like that. So we're doing like 2 second additions now, I think. right? No, like, okay, so, oh, okay, actually here we did like a 3-second addition. Let's fix this. Let's put it to 11, and then here we're on 13, right? And let's copy paste this again. So you see like a lot of level design. At some point, like you find a pattern and then you're copy pasting stuff to create these patterns. Let's do 15. And then we have this one again. And we select, we paste 17, right? And let's do one more or two more, for example. Let's do two more. Again, it's just a sketch, right? And then I'm gonna show you guys the last concept of the last phase. There we go. Yeah. So, but we don't want this to just be the pattern, right? I'm gonna keep this pattern here for myself because it's easier. It's easier to track it this way. But I want now. Let's just see how this pattern plays again. But I want to spice this up this pattern, right? So let's say, okay, you get this first set of comets. You can avoid this, right? Like you're learning to avoid this, okay? And then we're ramping up the difficulty a tiny bit, right? Like we're making this pattern happen faster. But now I want to add like a third element into the game, right? I want, or a second element. I don't want you to be only dodging the pattern. Like hopefully at this point you know how to dodge the pattern well enough, right? And we can see that like it's actually quite demanding already to dodge the pattern on its own. But you're not able to like do as much damage in the meantime. But let's add like a third element still. And we can keep this on a comet, right? Comets are very versatile as an attack. And this level, like in this floor, we're attacking you with attacks that you have some agency in. Like the geometric drop-off attack, right? Like you're able to pick where are you dropping this thing off, right? So what I want to do now is I want to spawn a comet that is going to land on you, right? Let me do this in, let's say, the 15th second, right? And you're going to see that when I get into the 15th second of this phase now, a comet will appear on the left side of the screen that will have a targeting rectile on me, right? So I should probably reduce the size of these comets, I feel like. There we go. Right? Now I have like a targeting rectile and I'm able to select where this is going. So what I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna reduce the size because I think like the difficulty right now in this is too much in dodging the comments, and I'm not able to like add extra layers because of the difficulty in dodging the comments being too high right now. So I made everything smaller essentially. I changed it from a size of 1 to a size of 0.6. Maybe this is too small now, right? Maybe I can still like go and finesse with this thing, but I can see already, like you can see I'm doing way more, like there's way more space for me, right? Boom. And now I'm putting it a comet. And what's cool to do is to have like contrast, right? So if the comments that are landing on me are, so if the comments that I'm dodging in the pattern are small, then maybe the comments that are landing on me should be big. And we can see that like with the current sizes, I can do way more damage already. So I'm gonna change this to appear on the 10th second instead of the 15th. And I'm gonna increase the size to 1.2, right? And now this is gonna probably make this phase way different already. So we have the pattern. I think I need to change this maybe from 0.6 to 0.75. 0.75 is like a very good number, I feel like. And now I have a big comet, right? And I placed it, and now I'm dodging this comet as well. And I kind of like screwed myself over there. Because if I placed it on the right side of the screen, right? It would have gotten to its position faster, and I would be able to go back to dealing damage faster. So let's do this one. And let's do another one. And we'll set it to 14 seconds. And this one I want coming in from the left side. Right? So very much a repetitive pattern that I'm going for here. And let's change the size from 0.6. So I'm just like selecting everything that's size 0.6 here. in my text editor, and I'm saying, let's say 7.3. Let's do this, and let's do replace all. And now let's go into the fight. All right, pattern is in, I'm dodging the pattern, and boom, now we break up the pattern. I'm on the left side, this is good. I'm on the, or on the right side, and then on the left side, I'm able to get rid of the big comets fast. I'm still failing, right? But I think there's like ways to dodge this pattern nicely. So let's maybe do like a full fight. Let's see where we're at currently. We have the drop-off situation here, right? I feel like there's a lot of space here in this drop-off situation. I think maybe I can make this be more difficult. Like the quick lines really slow me down here. Right? Okay, cool. I'm going into the phase change. I'm changing phases. I have this to dodge. It's a cool position to put it in, but I screwed it up. Okay. Okay, so this part significantly harder than the first one, but it is the second phase, so maybe I'm fine with this. I feel like I'm gonna adjust the timings a little bit here, but for the sake of this like make a level with me situation here, we're gonna be going into the third one now. We're gonna be going into the circular phase. And I actually wrote down what was the attack that I wanted to use there. Where did I have this? So let me just look at something. Right there. I have... So geometric drop of comet shaped doom missiles. Oh yes, so the last one, I want to make the last phase be about missiles. So again, player agency is the theme of the attacks that I'm using, right? Like being able to pick certain things. And the missile is an attack that it's a homing missile. It follows you around, right? So first, actually, I think we're gonna need to make the arena bigger for this, because in small arenas, homing missiles can feel very, very bad, right? So let's change this to an 8, and let's also do a clear attack. Let's not forget about a clear attack, because as you saw when we got into this phase, we still had a bunch of comets, right? Now let me show you a missile attack so you understand what it's like. So let's get here. Let's say at second one, we're gonna spawn one missile, right? Let's restart. Let's cheat our way to phase 2, and now cheat our way to phase 3. We kill the attacks. Oh, okay. Like let's make it spawn later. Let's set it to 3 seconds, and let's do another one on 6 seconds, so we can actually see them. All right. So phase 2. And we're cheating our way to phase 3. And now, boom, you see, missile? It locks onto me, and I need to dodge it. And I think if I want to make a fight that is focused on this, I think I need to go even bigger on the arena size, right? Because at the end of the day, like if it's not big, then I will not have like the time to react appropriately. And the missiles themselves are not interesting, right? Like if I have nothing else going on, then I just like keep going in one direction and I'm just zooming past things. So I need to introduce something else to the fight now. And I'm going to do Doomline. Doomline is an attack that we do not use that much, but it's very interesting because it's kind of like a spinning line attack, right? Like I'm gonna put it here. Let's just go in with default settings. Let's just see what this looks like. So let's do it like this. Let's see if this Doomline is big enough to cover this. No, it's not big enough. Okay, I'm gonna keep it at 8. Let's keep it at 8. Let's make this be like a tight situation. So yeah, Doomlines, we don't have, the Doomlines do not adjust based on the enemy arena size. But you can see it's like something that like cuts you off essentially, right? Boom. Like it cuts off this part of the arena. Let's go 7, I guess. 7 seems to be the number that we need to go to, and let's increase the number of vertices here actually, so that this is gonna be smoother. And I'm just gonna change this to 0.7 so it's a bit faster. Yeah, let's do R. Yeah, so this, boom. Yeah, and you can see here, like if I wanna go over it, right? Like if I wanna get out of this arena situation, out of this line, I need to take damage. And what we need to consider sometimes is that there's different attacks in the game, different movement abilities in the game. And one of them is dash. And dash is unique in the fact that it lets you skip over enemy attacks. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm gonna create another Doom line. And I'm gonna create it on the parallel end. So there's gonna be one Doom line here and one Doom line here. And what this is going to create, this is going to split the arena into 4 quadrants. And before, when we just had one Doom line, with a dash, you would be able to dash over it, you would be safe. But now I'm forcing you to do a lot of small dashes and preserve your energy if you are playing with a dash. And if you're playing with this, with the normal movement, then you need to be able to dodge stuff here as well, right? Like in this small arena that you're locked in. So I can create something interesting here by doing like a flurry of missiles. Right? So we know, we can see like this spawns at 10, it's gonna be active for 10 seconds. And what I'm gonna do is, so that means up until 14 seconds, I'm gonna say, let's do this one on 7, let's do this one on 10, and then again, I am intensifying the pattern. Let's do it at 12 now. And then let's do it at 13, right? And we're gonna end up with this like dodge one, dodge the second one, dodge the third one, dodge the fourth one, and it's gonna get like go up in difficulty. Let's go. Let's see. Let's just cheat through this. The health bar telling us we're cheating. Boom. 1. Oh, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, okay, yeah. Yeah, so this might be tight, but I think that's good. I think that's good at this point. Let's see. Like it makes you, like it's a bit like you need to keep tempo here, right? Like I need to keep a certain amount of tempo, and like clearly we reward you being like inside of the bigger lines, like the bigger sections here. But it's definitely still dodgeable in the small ones. Okay, let's go look at what else we can do. What else can we combine missiles with, right? So like we could combine it with like one of the other 2 attacks, but I kind of don't want that we've used so far. So geometric drop off and comet. I want to play more into this tight space situation, right? And we can do this very well with attacks like Doom lines and with attacks like spinners. Spinner is, oh, there we go, is the simplest attack that we have in the game. It's just a line that you need to dodge at the end of the day, right? I'm gonna put it here. But what is cool about spinners is, let's set it to starting angle 0. End angle is actually how much is it going to travel. Let's set this to 40. Let's make this a 3-second thing. And let's say that we're gonna have, so let's do 20, and then let's do -20 and -40. Or let's do 40-40. Let's do a bigger split, right? So I'm gonna do like a Caesar pattern here. We call this a Caesar pattern in the industry. So let's see. We get this. I'm inside of this part, which is good for me because I'm able to dodge things more easily here. Boom, 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 right? We have precision dodging, and now a pattern like this, right? Okay, so maybe that one didn't look so impressive. Let's go fix things up a bit. Let's change the starting angles, and let's change the, no, let's keep the time to be at 3 seconds. And then we're going to repeat that pattern, and we're going to repeat it while a missile is happening, right? And we're gonna like add that in, and then we're going to go play through the level that we have now, right? Like it's gonna be a sketch, and then we're gonna finish up with this kind of, because we can see at this point what the identity of this level is. The identity is that we have 3 distinct phases, each of them demarcated with like its own like arena. And yeah, cool. So like towards the end of this, if I do a missile, I think that's gonna feel nice. So this should be ending around the 18th second. So if in the 17.5 second I throw a missile and then I throw another missile, let's say like in the 19th second. All right, let's do this. Let's do restart. Let's play through the whole thing now. We have shape. Yeah, this is way too slow at the start here. Like not dangerous enough, I think. It's fine sometimes, like if you can front load damage at the start of a fight. Other times I feel like it's nice if we make the player slow down a little bit at the start, so you're not just like hands off the keyboard, hands off the button, right? We're doing the pattern. We have the comet going in. I barely... Ooh, yes, that's good. Good gameplay. Riveting gameplay from me. This is the pattern, right? Like, we can totally see there's not enough going on right now towards the end of this pattern, and the pattern needs to be longer. I was playing it quite well. I was getting to the phase change while things were starting to end, right? Oh, so I took damage there. Damage. Avoided. Ooh, yeah. This is kind of like keeping me at pace. And that was like, that was cool. That was cool, right? Because it's like, there's this like desire for me to change direction there, but I should have kept going. Like, I need to keep going at that point, like when I'm getting out of the Caesar. So that's kind of like how we go through things, right? And now I have like a good basis of what I'm working with. I have like a theme for each of the phases, and then it just comes down to like finding good loops. And I have found good loops, and now it comes to like refining them and creating something that is more something that is like difficult enough for the placement of this level within these loops, right? And we do this by layering things on top of one another, right? Like no singular attack in one button bosses is dangerous. They always become dangerous when you overlap things on top of one another, right? If this is the arena and I throw an attack like the spinner at you, right? The spinner itself, not dangerous at all, whatever. Like you're just like moving with the spinner now. But the moment I throw a quick line at you that like you need to dodge as well, it's going like this, right? Well, now it's a bit harder to dodge everything. So it's all about layering. So we usually create a theme, and then with layering of different attacks, we try to like adjust the difficulty to be where it's supposed to be at. So yeah, thanks for joining me for the first one button dev diaries, I suppose. If you guys have any questions about the level design process, you can ask them in our Discord, you can ask them in the YouTube comments. We'll be doing a few more of these dev diaries for the next few weeks, so you guys get a bit of insight into how one button bosses is made. It's exciting to do this for you all. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.